The most frightening thing about dementia is not the diagnosis, it's the fact that damage begins 20 years before any symptom shows up, which means the time to act to protect your brain is not when your memory starts slipping, but it's right now. Today, I want to show you a 10-minute daily routine that targets the biology of dementia before it ever becomes a problem in your life. And by the end of this video, I'm going to share the finding that explains exactly why this window to do it is far earlier and far more important than most people realize. So here's the first minute 0 to 2 just breath thing that you're going to do, and this is from minutes 0 to 2. You want to sit or stand comfortably, breathe in through your nose for 4 seconds, and then breathe out slowly through your mouth for 8 seconds. And you want to do this for 2 full minutes. This isn't just a stress tool. When your exhale is longer than your inhale, it directly activates the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is the longest nerve in the body, running from the brain all the way down to the gut. And here's the dementia-specific mechanism that most people never hear. The vagus nerve has a direct pathway to suppress brain inflammation. When it's activated, it releases a chemical that directly calms the inflammatory process that quietly damages brain cells over time. And here's why this matters so much. Dementia does not begin when the diagnosis is made. It begins years and sometimes decades earlier with damage in 3 specific areas. The biggest area is brain inflammation, and this is chronic low-grade inflammation that slowly damages brain cells and disrupts how they communicate with each other. This is the first part. It's just 2 minutes every morning before anything minute 3 to 9, dual task walking, else. Minutes 3 to 9 is dual task walking. And this is the non-obvious one on this list. Most people have heard before that walking is good for the brain. And if you haven't, surprise! Walking is good for your brain. But here's the secret walking trick that almost nobody knows. Walking while doing a mental task at the same time produces dramatically greater brain benefit than walking alone. This is called dual task training. And here's why it works so well. When you walk, one part of your brain is active. When you do a mental task, a different part of your brain is active. And when you do both at the same time, those 2 parts of your brain are forced to work together and communicate in real time. Doing this together produces a much larger release of BDNF, the brain's repair and growth signal that either activity produces on its own. A drop in BDNF is one of the main drivers of dementia because the brain loses its ability to heal and adapt. Research published in the Analysis of Internal Medicine found that dual task walking significantly outperformed regular walking for brain health outcomes in older adults, and this was independently linked to reduced dementia risk over follow-up time. Now, to do this tactically is simple. You want to walk for 7 minutes at a comfortable pace while doing one of these mental tasks. Count backwards from 100 in increments of 7 or one thing in a specific category with every step: animals, cities, foods, or alternate letters and numbers, saying A1, B2, C3, all the way through the alphabet, or recite either a prayer, a poem, or something from memory. The task doesn't need to be hard. It just needs to keep your brain actively working throughout the entire walk. Now, doing this outside in the morning is ideal because you get a little bit of extra sunlight, but inside and around your house still counts. Now, before we get into the third component, if this video is already changing the way you think about how to prevent dementia, please consider subscribing as it really does help push this information out to the people that need to hear it the most. On this channel, I'm trying to change the way that primary care is currently run, especially here in America. And every one of you that subscribes helps do minute 9 to 10, humming that. Now, for the last minute of this routine, all you have to do is hum. I love saying this to people because it totally is out of left field, but the research is genuinely solid. I want you to understand why it's on this list because the mechanism is quite surprising. Humming is actually one of the most direct ways to dramatically increase nitric oxide production in the body. And nitric oxide is one of the primary signals that keeps blood vessels in the brain open, flexible, and delivering adequate blood flow to the brain's most vulnerable memory structures. Your nasal passages and sinuses contain bacteria and other cells that produce nitric oxide when airflow moves through them. Normal nasal breathing produces a modest amount of this nitric oxide with every inhale, much better than mouth breathing alone. But humming creates rapid oscillating airflow in the nasal passages, which dramatically amplifies the nitric oxide release compared to regular breathing. Research published in the American Journal of Respiratory and Critical Care Medicine found that humming increased nasal nitric oxide production by up to 15 times compared to normal quiet breathing. How this connects to dementia is simple. The third driver of dementia is impaired cerebral blood flow. This gradual reduction in blood and oxygen delivery to the brain's most metabolically demanding structure, the prefrontal cortex. Reduced cerebral blood flow accelerates amyloid accumulation, impairs the brain's waste clearance systems, and starves neurons of the oxygen and glucose they need to maintain healthy function. Nitric oxide directly counteracts this by signaling blood vessels feeding the brain to relax and open, increasing cerebral perfusion in the same way it lowers blood pressure throughout the rest of the body. If any of you have seen my videos before, you know how important nitric oxide truly is. Humming for 1 minute produces that surge of nitric oxide naturally. How to tactically implement this into your daily routine is simple. After your walk is over, simply hum for 1 minute. If you're feeling ambitious, you can try humming the last minute of walking to shorten this routine even more. Now, before I close this video today, I want the finding that changes everything to mention the research. Finding that truly does change everything. A landmark study published in the Journal of Neurology followed healthy adults from midlife into their 80s and 90s, and they found that the biological changes behind Alzheimer's disease, things like amyloid buildup, hippocampal shrinkage, and reduced blood flow to the brain, begin on average 20 years before the first symptom appears. This means the window to prevent dementia is not in your 70s and 80s. It's literally starting today. I cannot underestimate this enough, guys. It's so important for you to start doing something like this today and implementing it into your daily routine. Dementia is one of the hardest things that I see so many patients struggle with in clinic, and it really does break my heart. There is ways that you can prevent it. Doing this daily routine is that next step you can take to help you prevent dementia. Now, if you want more in-depth information about dementia, as well as a community of like-minded individuals attacking the same goal of long-lasting independence and improving metabolic health, I'm building a private community where we go so much deeper than any single video ever could. Spots are limited because I do want to make this genuinely high quality and personal. If you're interested in something like this, I'll put a link to that in the description below. In my next video, I cover the fastest ways that you can reverse brain aging outside of this daily habit. If you haven't checked out that video yet, I highly recommend that you do so.